Marine Corps specific awards and decorations. This information can be found in SECNAVM-1650.1. Marine Corps Combat Instructor Ribbon. Criteria and eligibility. To earn the Marine Corps Combat Instructor Ribbon, a Marine must successfully complete a prescribed tour of duty in an eligible billet. 1. Eligible billets. Marines serving in a military occupational specialty MOS 0913 billet, formerly known as 8513, who possess the 0913 MOS. B. Marines serving in billets at SOI East or SOI West containing the word instructor. These individuals must possess MOS 0913 and remain qualified as a combat instructor for the duration of the time serving in the billet. C. Additional Advanced Infantry Training Battalion billets. D. Marines serving in SOI East or SOI West, including subordinate battalions. 2. Successful completion of a prescribed tour of duty. A. Combat instructor. Marines serving in billets, outlined in paragraphs D1A through D1C, must serve 36 months to complete a prescribed tour of duty. B. Leadership billets. Marines serving in billets, outlined in paragraph D1D, must serve 18 months to complete a prescribed tour of duty. Marine Corps Security Guard Ribbon. Criteria and eligibility. Marines must meet both the personnel and period of service requirements. Eligible billet. 1. Personnel. Marines possessing MOS 8151 who are serving with the Marine Corps Embassy Security Group, MCESG, formerly Marine Security Guard Battalion, MSGBN, or previously served with the MSGBN in MOS 8151 billets at embassies, are eligible to receive the Marine Corps Security Guard Ribbon. MCSGR. A. Training personnel. B. Command personnel. C. Other personnel serving with Headquarters Marine Corps Embassy Security Group are not eligible. 2. Period of service. A. Marines assigned to MSG duty, MOS 8151, are eligible to receive the Marine Corps Security Guard Ribbon upon completion of 24 months of service at a foreign establishment. Subsequent awards will be made for every 24 months served, either consecutively or cumulatively. Marine Corps Drill Instructor Ribbon. Criteria and eligibility. Marines must both serve in an eligible billet and satisfy the period of service requirements. 1. Eligible billets. Marines possessing the 8511 MOS, who have served in an 8511 billet, are eligible to receive the Marine Corps Drill Instructor Ribbon. Marines in the following billets are also eligible. A. Recruit Training Regiment, Commander, CO, Executive Officer, XO, Operations Officer, S3, Sergeant Major, Series Commander. B. Recruiting Training Battalion, CO, XO, S3, Sergeant Major. C. Recruit Training Regiment Support Battalion, CO, XO, S3, Sergeant Major, Company COs. D. Drill Instructor School, Director and Assistant Director. E. Officer Candidate School, OCS. 1. OCS, CO, XO, S3, Assistant Operations Officer, S3A, Coordinator of Student Activities, Sergeant Major, and Headquarters and Service Company 1 ST Sergeant. 2. Training Company, CO, XO, First Sergeant, Company Gunnery Sergeant and Platoon Commanders. 2. Marines assigned as Marine Officer Instructors or Assistant Marine Officer Instructors are not eligible for the Marine Corps Drill Instructor Ribbon. 3. Period of service requirements. A. Drill instructors. Marines assigned to drill instructor duty, MOS 0911, are eligible to receive the ribbon upon completion of a successful tour of duty. A Marine who extends beyond the basic tour of duty is eligible upon completion of the extension period. Marines returning for subsequent tours as drill instructors are eligible for subsequent awards upon the completion of each tour. Other eligible billets. Marines assigned in those billets listed in subparagraphs D1A through D1E above are eligible to receive the ribbon upon completion of a successful completion of a prescribed tour of duty as defined in paragraph D4B. Marine Corps Recruiting Ribbon. Criteria and eligibility. Marines who have successfully served in an eligible billet and meet the period of service Requirements. 1. Eligible billets. A. Marines possessing MOS 4810 or 8412 and have served in MOS 4810 or 8412 billets. B. Marines possessing MOS 8411 and assigned to duty in a recruiting billet, MOS 8411. C. Marine Corps Recruiting Command Headquarters. D. Marine Corps Districts, Commander, Operations Office. Assistant for Officer Programs, Prior Service Recruiting. Officer, Assistant for Aviation Officer Procurement, Assistant for Enlisted Recruiting, and Sergeant Major. E. Recruiting Stations, Commander, Executive Officer, Operations Officer, Officer Selection Officer, and Sergeant Major. 2. Eligible Marines listed above must meet the following period of service requirements. A. Recruiters. Marines assigned to recruiting duty, MOS 8411, are eligible to receive the ribbon upon completion of a successful tour of duty. A Marine who extends beyond the basic tour of duty is eligible upon completion of the extension period. Marines returning for subsequent tours are eligible for subsequent awards upon completion of the entire tour. A. Recruiter who becomes a career recruiter is eligible to receive the ribbon upon assignment of the 8412 MOS. D. Officers. Officers who return for subsequent tours and serve in qualifying billets listed in this tab will be eligible for subsequent awards upon completion of each successful tour. A. Recruiting duty. Duty performed in one of the billet assignments as defined in paragraph D1 above. B. Successful tour. Generally, to qualify for the MCRR, Marines must complete a successful 36-month tour of duty while serving honorably in a qualifying billet. Navy and Marine Corps Overseas Service Ribbon. Award criteria and eligibility requirements. 1. Awarded to officers and enlisted personnel of the Navy and Marine Corps, and the reserve components thereof, in recognition of sustained overseas service meeting the criteria in the following sections. 2. Overseas means outside the U.S. For purposes of the Overseas Service Ribbon, Hawaii and Puerto Rico are not considered overseas. Adak, Simia, and Kodiak are the only duty stations in Alaska that are eligible for the Overseas Service Ribbon. 3. The Navy and Marine Corps have distinct criteria for the Overseas Service Ribbon. Navy personnel assigned to Marine Corps commands follow Marine Corps policy and vice versa. Marine Corps criteria. A. Only personnel assigned to overseas supporting establishment commands, e.g., base, post, and station, are eligible for the OSR. Personnel serving with the Marine Corps operating forces, whether active or reserve, are not eligible. B. The Overseas Service Ribbon requires 12 months, consecutive or non-consecutive, served at an overseas supporting establishment. Command. C. An individual may not receive the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon and the Overseas Service Ribbon for the same period if assigned to a Marine Corps unit. Navy Artic Service Ribbon. Award criteria and eligibility requirements. Awarded to officers and enlisted personnel of the Navy and Marine Corps, or civilians, including resident aliens of the U.S. who complete 28 days, consecutive or non-consecutive, in the geographic AOE, which is the land, sea, and airspace above the Arctic Circle. 1. For personnel working at remote ice camps, and divers working under the ice, each day of duty counts as 2 days toward NOSR eligibility. However, Marine Corps personnel undergoing annual cold weather training above the Arctic Circle do not qualify for the 2-for-1 credit. 2. No more than 1 day's credit is allowed for flights in and or out of the AOE during any 24-hour period. Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. Criteria. Eligibility is limited to Navy and Marine Corps military personnel. Members of other military services, civilians, and foreign personnel are not eligible. The Navy and Marine Corps have distinct criteria. Navy personnel assigned to Marine Corps units follow Marine Corps criteria, and vice versa. Marine Corps criteria. Personnel assigned to units of the Marine Corps operating forces permanently based in the U.S. are eligible upon a deployment of at least 90 days to an overseas location. Commanders of deploying continental U.S. forces may waive up to 14 days to allow award of the Sea Service Deployment Ribbon to deserving personnel if their deployments are cut short through no fault of their own. Personnel assigned to units of the Marine Corps operating forces permanently based outside the U.S. are eligible upon completion of 12 months overseas service. Commanding officers may waive up to 30 days to allow award of the SSDR to deserving personnel if their tours are cut short through no fault of their own. Marines are limited to one award of the SSDR per 12-month period. Combat Action Ribbon. Criteria. Awarded to members of the Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard when the Coast Guard, or units thereof, operate under the control of the Navy, in grade 06 and below. 2. The principal eligibility criterion is that the individual must have rendered satisfactory performance under enemy fire while actively participating in a ground or surface combat engagement. Navy E. Ribbon. Eligibility criteria. This ribbon denotes the wearer was on permanent duty aboard a ship or in a squadron that won a battle efficiency competition after the 1st of July 1974. Eligibility is restricted to members of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps, subject to the following limitations. Marine Corps personnel assigned on permanent change of station PC's orders as part of the ship's Marine detachment or other billet that is part of ship's company are eligible on the same basis as Navy personnel. However, Navy and Marine Corps personnel assigned to embarked units, such as aircraft, squadrons, battalion landing teams, or Marine Expeditionary units are not eligible. Meritorious Unit Commendation. Criteria. Awarded to any ship, Marine Regiment, Naval Construction Battalion, a Navy Air Wing or Marine Air Group, or any other unit of the Navy or Marine Corps that has distinguished itself, under combat or non-combat conditions, by either valorous or meritorious achievement that renders the unit outstanding compared to other units performing similar service, but not sufficient to justify award of the Navy Unit Commendation. 1. To justify this award, the unit must have performed service of a character comparable to that which would merit award to an individual of the Bronze Star Medal or achievement of like caliber. In a non-combat situation, Meritorious Service Medal to an individual. Normal performance of duty or participation in a large number of combat missions does not in itself justify the award. 2. Care must be taken to avoid award for the performance of normal duty, or citation of large units for the actions of one or more of their component parts. Navy Unit Commendation. Criteria. 1. Awarded to any ship, aircraft, detachment or other unit of the Navy or Marine Corps that has a. Distinguished itself by outstanding heroism in action against the enemy, but not sufficiently to merit the Presidential Unit Commendation. Or b. Distinguished itself by extremely meritorious service not involving combat, but in support of military operations, such as to render the unit outstanding compared to similar units performing similar service. 2. To justify the Navy Unit Commendation, the unit must have performed service acting as a team of a character comparable to that which would merit the award to an individual of the Silver Star for heroism, or the Legion of Merit for meritorious achievement. 3. Normal performance of duty under the ordinary hazards of war, or participation in extended periods of combat duty or in a large number of combat missions, does not in itself justify the award. 4. Care must be taken to avoid award for the performance of normal duty, or citation of large units for the actions of one or more of their component parts. Presidential Unit Citation. Criteria. Awarded as public evidence of deserved honor and distinction to any ship, aircraft, naval unit, or any Marine Corps aircraft detachment or higher unit, for outstanding performance in combat with the enemy. 1. The intent of the Presidential Unit Citation is to recognize specific acts of heroism on the part of the unit acting as a team. 2. The unit must have distinguished itself by extraordinary heroism in action with the enemy, and exhibited gallantry and determination in overcoming such difficult and hazardous conditions so as to render itself outstanding compared to similar units participating in the same or similar engagements. 3. Performance of duty in carrying out a mission under ordinary hazards of war, or participation in extended periods of combat duty, or in a large number of combat missions does not in itself justify the award. 4. To justify this award, the unit must have clearly rendered itself conspicuous by action of a character comparable to that which would merit award of the Navy Cross to an individual. 5. The Presidential Unit Citation will normally only be awarded to units that have participated in a single combat action or successive actions covering relatively brief time spans. It is not reasonable to presume entire units could sustain Navy Cross level of heroism for an extended period of time except under the most unusual circumstances. 6. Care must be taken to avoid awards for the performance of normal duty, or citation of large units for the actions of one or more of their component parts. Selected Marine Corps Reserve Medal. Criteria and eligibility. Awarded to members of the Selected Marine Corps Reserve (SMCR) who, effective 1 January 1996, fulfilled designated service requirements within any 3-year period of service in the Marine Corps Reserve. 4. The period 1 July 1925 through 31 December 1995, a 4-year period of service was required. The following are specific eligibility requirements for this medal. Attendance within Selective Marine Corps Reserve Unit, including duty in an Individual Mobilization Augmentee (IMA) billet in training. Category A, at 3 consecutive annual field training periods. A period of active duty for training that was authorized to be performed in lieu of a regular annual field training period will fulfill this requirement. 2. Attendance within Selective Marine Corps Reserve Unit, including duty in an IMA billet in training. Category A, 90% of all scheduled drills each year for 4 consecutive years. Appropriate duty or equivalent instruction or duty may be credited in lieu of drills. Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal. Criteria and eligibility. Commandant of the Marine Corps designates the specific criteria for the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal (MCGCM). 1. The MCGCM is restricted to enlisted Marines. 2. Awardees must meet both the period of service and the conduct requirements in the paragraphs below. Period of service requirements. A. Any 3 years of continuous active service in the regular or reserve, on continuous active duty or active reserve, after 10 December 1945. This may include service in temporary warrant or commission status, provided the temporary officer reverts to enlisted status. If re-enlistment occurs within 90 days of a discharge, this not considered an interruption of continuous service, but the period between the discharge and re-enlistment cannot be credited toward the 3-year service requirement. B. Provided the individual is otherwise qualified, the MCGCM shall be authorized for any 3 years of enlisted service consisting of a combination of periods of active service in a war, national emergency, or armed conflict in which the United States is engaged. Conduct requirement. A. During the period of service, there must have been no convictions by courts martial, no non-judicial punishment (NJP) under Article 15 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and no lost time by reason of sickness misconduct or injury misconduct. Prior to 27 April 1990, no more than one NJP was allowed during the period of service. B. When NJP voids creditability of service, a new good conduct period shall commence effective on the date of approval of the NJP. However, if the offense occurred within the 3-year period and the date of approval of the NJP is after the expiration of the 3-year period, the MCGCM is not authorized for that period, but a new good conduct period shall commence with the date of the offense. Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal. Criteria and eligibility. 1. Awarded to Marines who have actually landed on foreign territory and engaged in operations against armed opposition, or operated under circumstances deemed to merit special recognition, and for which no other campaign, expeditionary, and service medal or ribbon was authorized. 2. Only personnel attached to one of the approved units during the eligibility period, and who actually participated in the given operation, are eligible for the Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal. 3. The Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal may only be awarded if Navy and Marine Corps units were the sole participants in the designated operation. In cases where an operation involved the participation of units from other branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, the Armed Force Expeditionary Medal is the more appropriate award. 4. The Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal is restricted to Marine Corps personnel. Navy personnel who are assigned to Marine Corps units awarded the Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal wear the Navy Expeditionary Medal instead of the Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal. Likewise, Marines assigned to Navy units that have been awarded the Navy Expeditionary Medal will wear the Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal, not the Navy Expeditionary Medal. Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal (NAM). Criteria and eligibility requirements. The NAM is a multi-purpose decoration that may only be awarded to members of the Armed Forces in pay grades 04 and below. The award may be authorized for specific achievement, i.e., as an impact award, or for sustained meritorious service. The performance shall be of such merit as to warrant more tangible recognition than is possible by a fitness report or performance evaluation, but which does not justify a Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal. Professional achievement that merits the award must a. clearly exceed that which is normally required or expected, considering the individual's grade or rate, training, and experience, and b. be an important contribution of benefit to the United States and the Naval Service. 2. Leadership achievement that merits the award must a. be noteworthy, b. be sustained so as to demonstrate a high state of development or, if for a specific achievement, be of such merit as to earn singular recognition for the acts, and c. reflect most creditably on the efforts of the individual toward the accomplishment of the unit mission. 3. The NAM shall not be awarded in recognition of any act of valor or non-combat heroism. Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal (NC). Criteria and eligibility requirements. The Navy Commendation is a multi-purpose decoration that may be awarded to any person who, while serving in any capacity with the Navy or Marine Corps, distinguishes himself or herself by heroic or meritorious achievement or service. To merit this award, the acts or services must be accomplished or performed in a manner above that normally expected, and sufficient to distinguish the individual above those performing similar services. The Navy Commendation may be awarded in recognition of acts of valor that do not justify the Bronze Star Medal with V, or the Air Medal with V, when aerial flight is involved. When the Navy Commendation is awarded for valor, the V device shall be authorized. Acts of non-combat heroism that do not justify the Navy and Marine Corps Medal, or the Air Medal if aerial flight is involved. Meritorious achievement or service under combat conditions. A single achievement or a period of service worthy of special recognition, but not to the degree required for the Bronze Star Medal, or the Air Medal with C device when aerial flight is involved. When the Navy Commendation is awarded under this circumstance, the C device shall be authorized. Meritorious achievement or service not under combat conditions. A single achievement or a period of service worthy of special recognition, but not justifying the Meritorious Service Medal, or the Air Medal when combat is not involved. If the Navy Commendation is awarded for specific achievement, i.e., an impact award, and the achievement had direct but remote impact on combat operations, the R device may be authorized. Navy and Marine Corps Medal. Criteria and eligibility requirements. 1. Awarded to any person who, while serving in any capacity with the Navy or Marine Corps, distinguishes himself or herself by heroism not involving actual conflict with the enemy. Although many past awards were for heroism involving lifesaving, the Navy and Marine Corps Medal is not solely a lifesaving medal. It may be awarded for any heroic act not involving direct conflict with the enemy. However, for acts of lifesaving, or attempted lifesaving, the action must have been performed at the risk of one's own life. 2. Navy Reserve or Marine Corps Reserve personnel involved in lifesaving or attempted lifesaving incidents may be considered for the Navy and Marine Corps Medal even when they were in an inactive status at the time of the heroic act. 3. The Navy and Marine Corps Medal may be awarded for heroic acts that occur in a combat zone but not in a direct engagement with the enemy. 4. Whether the Navy and Marine Corps Medal is appropriate hinges on the level of personal risk experienced by the awardee. It must be clearly established that performance of the act placed the awardee in life-threatening danger. Navy Distinguished Service Medal. Criteria and eligibility requirements. 1. Awarded to any person who, while serving in any capacity with the Navy or Marine Corps, distinguishes himself or herself by exceptionally meritorious service to the United States in a duty of great responsibility. To justify this decoration, an exceptional performance of duty is required, clearly above that normally expected, which has contributed materially to the success of a major command or project. B. In general, Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to those officers in principal commands at sea, or in the field, whose service is such as to justify the award. Historically, principal commands have been those such as numbered fleets, major task forces, Marine Corps divisions or air wings, and Marine Corps amphibious or expeditionary task forces larger than a division. However, this does not preclude award of the Distinguished Service Medal to any individual whose service is so exceptional as to meet the high standards of this medal, if there is any doubt as to the degree of merit or level of responsibility involved. The Legion of Merit or Meritorious Service Medal are more appropriate awards. C. By long-standing custom and practice, the Distinguished Service Medal is not awarded in recognition of acts of heroism. 2. The combat conditions C. device may be authorized if during the period the recipient was exposed to hostile action, or at significant risk of such exposure. Navy Cross. Criteria and eligibility requirements. 1. Awarded to any person who, while serving in any capacity with the Navy or Marine Corps, distinguishes himself or herself by extraordinary heroism that does not justify award of the Medal of Honor. A. While engaged in an action against an enemy of the United States, or B. While engaged in military operations involving conflict with an opposing foreign force, or C. While serving with friendly foreign forces, engaged in an armed conflict against an opposing armed force, in which the United States is not a belligerent party. 2. To merit this decoration, the act must be performed in the presence of great danger and must render the individual conspicuous among his or her comrades. The Navy Cross is awarded for a singular act of valor, and cannot be justified by an accumulation of minor acts of heroism. 3. Because award of the Navy Cross is by law credit for extraordinary heroism in the line of duty, the criteria for extraordinary heroism must also be met.